Greetings, seeker of strength and silence. The world shouts, but the wise man listens. Before we dive deep, hit that like button and subscribe. Not for me, but for the version of you that's done with excuses. Because if you're here, you're not like the rest. You're searching, not for comfort, but for control, for self-mastery. And that, my friend, is a rare path. You see, in a world obsessed with external validation, ancient Stoic wisdom points inward. It doesn't shout, it whispers, but only to those willing to listen and act. Today I bring you 5 Stoic tips for self-mastery. Not rules, not commandments, but tools, sharp, ancient, and forged in fire, that only the courageous dare to wield. And if you're still watching, you just might be one of them. So let's begin. 1. Control your perceptions before they control you. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it, that matters." Simple? Maybe. Easy? Never. Imagine waking up to find that your car's been towed, your inbox is flooded, your phone screen cracked overnight. What's your first reaction? Rage? Panic? Self-pity? Most people collapse into these reflexes. But you are not most people. A Stoic knows. The event is neutral. Your interpretation is not. Every moment, your mind spins stories. This is unfair. I'm unlucky. They don't respect me. But what if you could stop that spin mid-sentence? Perception is a lens. Dirty it, and the whole world looks foggy. Clean it, and suddenly clarity. Power. Direction. Think of it like this. A sailor cannot control the storm, but he can adjust the sails. And he doesn't scream at the sea, he studies it. There's a tale, short, but sharp, of a monk who sat in meditations as bandits raided the temple. When they asked why he didn't flee, he answered, "Because you can take my robes, but not my peace." That's perception. That's power. And if you can master the story in your mind, you can master any battlefield. You might be thinking, sure, but what about emotions? What about the heat of the moment? That leads us quite naturally to the next idea. 2. Master the emotion. Don't mute it. Here's the trap. People think Stoicism means becoming emotionless, robotic, cold. But that's a misunderstanding. A lazy one. The Stoics didn't reject emotion. They sought to command it. Seneca put it sharply. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. What does that mean for you? That your anger, your anxiety, your jealousy, they aren't the enemy. Your lack of command over them is. Imagine you're holding a flame in your hand. That flame is emotion. Now, what you do next determines everything. Grip it tightly and you'll burn. Drop it recklessly, and you might set the world around you on fire. But learn to hold it, to understand its heat, its purpose, and you can light the darkest room. Let me tell you a story. A Roman general once stood before a battle, outnumbered and outmaneuvered. His men trembled, fear spreading like smoke. But the general didn't shout or pretend not to be afraid. Instead, he addressed the fear directly. Feel it. Now use it. Let it sharpen you. And with that, he led them to victory. Not in spite of fear, but because he mastered it. That's Stoicism in motion. You don't bury your emotions. You discipline them. You give them form. Use them like a sculptor uses a chisel, deliberately, with force and finesse. Look, self-mastery isn't about pretending nothing touches you. It's about making sure nothing controls you. You feel deeply, but you respond wisely. You burn, but you don't burn out. Because when emotion is your servant, you move mountains. But when it's your master, even molehills become monsters. And speaking of discipline and control, There's one realm where most of us fail quietly, invisibly. A silent war that defines the rest of our lives. 3. Win the battle no one sees. Discipline in solitude. Oh, discipline. Not the flashy kind. Not what you post on social media or shout about at the gym. I'm talking about the kind no one applauds. The kind you keep when no one's watching, when the room is silent, when the phone is tempting, and the bed is warm. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor who ruled the most powerful empire in the world, wrote to himself, not to the public, not to impress, but to remind himself of who he must be. Just that you do the right thing. The rest doesn't matter. That was his mantra in private. Yours needs one too. You want self-mastery? It's forged in the unnoticed moments. Waking up early when you don't have to. Saying no when no one would blame you for saying yes. Finishing what you start. Not because you'll be praised, but because your soul demands it. Let me give you something to consider. There's a tale about a warrior who trained alone in a cave for 10 years. When he finally emerged, people asked, "What did you learn?" He answered, "That I am the enemy I was preparing to fight." Read that again. Discipline in solitude isn't glamorous. It won't get you applause, but it will get you freedom. Freedom from impulse, from laziness, from the sabotage that creeps in with comfort. And here's the twist. Once you become consistent in private, you become unshakable in public, because you've proven again and again that you don't need an audience to be excellent. But if discipline is the skeleton of self-mastery, there's still something more elusive, more dangerous, that determines whether you rise or crumble. Let's go deeper. 4. Own your choices or be owned by regret. There's a subtle poison that eats away at men. Not failure, not pain, but regret. The quiet ache of choices not made, of roads not taken, of knowing deep down you betrayed yourself. Stoicism doesn't ask you to be perfect. It dares you to be deliberate. Every choice you make carves you into something. Question is, are you carving a statue or digging a grave? Epictetus said it plainly. You are not your body. You are not your possessions. You are your choices. So let me ask you something. Who are you becoming? Let's not pretend this is easy. You'll be offered comfort daily. The easier path, the quick dopamine, the chance to delay your duty in exchange for distraction. And that's where the test lies, not in extreme hardship, but in the tiny yeses you give to mediocrity. Picture this. A man wakes up every day and says, "Tomorrow I'll start." He says it with sincerity, even hope. But he says it every day. After a while, tomorrow becomes the graveyard of his potential. That man dies waiting. You are not that man. Right now, you have the power to choose. To stop pretending you don't have time. To stop giving energy to people and things that drain you. To act intentionally, relentlessly, in alignment with who you say you want to be. Because the harshest truth is this: you will suffer either way. The pain of discipline or the pain of regret. One sharp and temporary, the other dull and endless. So choose, not because it's easy, but because it's yours. And once you start choosing with clarity, there's one final Stoic shift that locks everything into place. One that flips the world on its head. 5. Amor fati. Love, not just the fire, but the flames. The Stoics didn't just teach acceptance. They taught something far more radical. Something almost offensive to the modern ear. Amor fati. The love of fate. Not tolerance, not resignation. Love. That breakup, that job you didn't get, that failure that made your stomach turn. A Stoic looks it dead in the eye and says, "Good. I needed that." Marcus Aurelius, in the middle of war, plague, and betrayal, wrote, "A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it. Not just survives the fire, becomes it. It's easy to love what feels good. Anyone can be grateful when things go their way. But the Stoic stands alone in the storm and says, even this, especially this, is mine to use. Let me show you what that looks like." There's a parable of a man who plants seeds in barren soil. His neighbors laugh. "Nothing will grow here," they say. Years pass. His hands bleed from the work. But one day, not just one tree, but a forest rises. Why? Because he didn't curse the ground. He honored the process. He worked with it. That's amor fati. To master yourself, you must stop arguing with reality. Stop saying, "Now why me?" and start saying, "Try me." The moment you stop seeing life as something that happens to you and start seeing it as something that happens for you, you become untouchable. Not because pain disappears, but because you're not afraid of it anymore. Because in the end, self-mastery isn't about control over the outside world. It's about a fearless, fierce love of whatever comes your way. Fire, storm, silence, success, defeat, all of it. So now the question is no longer, what should I do? You know that. The real question is, will you? Because self-mastery isn't a theory. It's a practice. A war waged silently, daily. And you're either sharpening your blade or letting it rust. You've just been handed 5 Stoic tools, not platitudes, not feel-good fluff, but weapons meant for the rare few willing to fight for control of their own life. If that's you, then walk forward with clarity, with discipline, with fire. Because nothing out there is stronger than a person who has mastered what's in here. The world is loud. People are reactive. Emotions are wild. But you are something else. You choose to respond, not react. To rise, not retreat. You are no longer at the mercy of the world. You are becoming dangerously calm. And if that vision burns inside you, if something in your gut is saying, yes, this is the path, then this channel is your armory. So, subscribe, not for content, for commitment. Hit that like button if you're ready to be different. Not better than others, but better than who you were yesterday. Because the work isn't over. We're just getting started. And trust me, the next battle is even more powerful. Stay sharp, stay silent, and never stop mastering yourself.